Yo, yo, what it do, man? It's your boy Smooth, aka Mr. Do What It Do, aka Always on the Move. And this is Phone Home Sports, man. We have a great week of football coming up. And so I just wanted to really just sit down and talk about it, man. This is championship weekend in college football. I think we got some great matchups. I think we got some interesting matchups. And I think Alabama, is gonna prevail. And the reason why I feel like Alabama will prevail again against Georgia is first and foremost, Alabama owns Georgia. They are 10-1 in the last 11 games. They are, I think the last time they lost was 2023 in the championship game when, I'm not even going to discuss that. The improvements I've seen Georgia make in the last since the last time they played Alabama, I think Alabama can overcome those things that they've improved on. Now, I will say I truly believe Alabama offense has regressed since the last time Georgia played, but I don't think Georgia has enough on offense to overcome Alabama's losses on defense, if that makes sense. So I think Alabama will be very well prepared for the adjustments that Georgia has made. Because let's just be honest, Alabama has the best secondary in the country. The best secondary in the country. And that's really where this game starts. Because Georgia's problem has always been that they didn't have receivers, the type of receivers needed to beat Alabama. They still don't. So first and foremost, that's where the game begins. Is Georgia secondary versus Alabama secondary versus Georgia receivers. They win that matchup easily. When it comes to Georgia's defensive line versus Alabama's offensive line, I think that's a pretty much even match. Georgia hasn't did anything significant on defense for me to believe on the defensive line side. I don't. They haven't did anything significant for me to change that belief. And Alabama offensive line has improved a little bit, especially in the run game over the last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks. Because I think they actually did pretty good against Oklahoma. Versus what a lot of people say. I think they did really good against Oklahoma, but they Alabama don't run the ball. But when they do run the ball, I think and when they're consistent running the ball, I think they very effective. And with the loss of Jam Miller, that's going to be pretty interesting. I think Daniel Hill can get it done. But like I said, I think it's really just going to fall on Georgia's defensive line versus Alabama offensive line, and what does Ty do with that pressure? And I think that's really what the game boils down to. And I think for Gunnar Stockton, I think he's gonna have issues, man. I think he's gonna have real issues because that secondary is legit. When you think about if you seen what Zabian Brown did to Cam Coleman last week, man, he put that boy on an island. He couldn't do nothing the whole game. Like he really shut that man down the whole game, man. When I'm talking about, I mean, when you look at Zabian Brown, the technique was there, the aggression was there. I think he made a lot of money that game. I think he made a lot of money for himself that game. Because Cam Coleman, for what it's worth, he's considered to be the best receiver in the SEC when you think about the prototypical size. And, everybody kind of says, well, he plays for Auburn. He doesn't really have a quarterback, all that type of stuff. Well, a couple nights, it wouldn't matter who the quarterback was. It wouldn't matter if you had Tom Brady as the quarterback. That boy Zabian Brown put that man in cuffs the whole entire game. And see, I already had knew this. I play NCAA, baby. And Alabama, the whole time NCAA has been out, like the last 2 years, 2026, Alabama secondary is flawless. And it's the same way in real life. Like it's no different. They could play man to man the whole game, and that's what make their defense so great. It's because they could send the pressures. They could play any type of design defense and any type of design schemes they want to have with their front seven. They could do it because the secondary is good. You don't really got to worry about nothing. So, it's going to be a continuance of that. When you talk about Georgia and Alabama, I don't really see anything different. I think Alabama has the better receiving core. So, when it comes down to that, I think that's going to be all on Ty and how he handles the pressure. And Georgia is interesting because they don't necessarily have to pressure like everybody else has to pressure because they could depend on their front to stop you. And I think that's kind of like where like that's where it gets interesting because I think, Georgia, they honestly have to play like somebody else to beat Alabama. They can't play like Georgia. They can't play like Alabama. They're going to have to play a different style of football. And if they don't play a different style of football, if they don't have different schemes, if they don't blitz a lot, if they don't have a lot of pressure, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long game. I'm telling you. And and like it could get really bad, and that's not even just me being a fan, but you cannot play Alabama like you're on their level. And if they play Alabama like Oklahoma played Alabama, if they play Alabama like Vanderbilt played Alabama, Florida State, Georgia might win. But you're going to have to get out of the mindset that you're Georgia. You got to play like somebody else because that shit y'all been doing the last 10 years, it ain't work. It ain't work. It ain't going to work. The only way you're going to beat Alabama if you play like the rest of these guys play when they play Alabama. You're going to have to run Gunner Stockton. So if you don't do that type of stuff, bro, y'all done for. Done. And guess what? Even if y'all still did that, it's still over. It's still OV, still 430. I'm telling you, bro, y'all getting put in cuffs the whole week, man. They gonna be talking about Kirby Smart taking a Penn State job. That's how bad it's gonna get. I'm telling you. But it is what it is. And then you got not Penn State, but you got Ohio State. You got Indiana. It's so hard talking about Big Ten football. It's so Ohio State probably wins that game. You know who the real fraud in all of this is, though? I think the real fraud in all of this is BYU and Texas Tech. Let's look at Texas Tech and who they've played this year. Arkansas Pine Bluff, Kent State, Oregon State. You beat Ohio. You beat Utah. I'll give you that. You beat Houston, Kansas. You lost to Arizona State. Win versus another Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Do we think they beating Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss on a neutral site? Like, what are we talking about? But they're gonna get their chance to prove everybody wrong. Let's look at BYU schedule. Who they beat? Look at their schedule. BYU. So the only good team that BYU beat is Utah. Like, what are we talking about, bro? They haven't played nobody, and they are ranked. No, they're ranked 11. That's crazy. I mean, I think you could put Vanderbilt in front of them, man. Like Vanderbilt had a truly tough schedule this year. Yeah, man. But we will see. We will see. We will see. We will see. What else we got on here that we could take a look at? See what else we got. Duke, Virginia. That's not even worth talking about. That's not even worth talking about. Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, we even got some good NFL games coming up. This week. Let's see what we got in the NFL. Yeah, Dallas, Detroit. I think this is gonna be I think, of course, we know Dallas got 2 wins versus the Eagles and the Chiefs back to back. But I think this is going to be the game that tells us if Dallas is for real. The game versus Detroit, I think that's going to tell us if Dallas is for real. So yeah, I think that's a really good game. Then you got it was another couple good games too. You got Indiana versus Jacksonville. I think that's gonna tell us if Jacksonville is for real. Indianapolis, they going through. I know Daniel Jones is kind of hurt. And then you just lost Sauce Gardner, so we'll see about that. Then we got a battle for first place in the AFC East or West. something like that. It's one of those two. But yeah, you got a battle for first place between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Um, I think that division is trash actually, and I'm taking Baltimore. I think Aaron Rodgers, for what it's worth, I thought he was getting better. I'm not getting better, but I thought he would be solid. But I think he's starting to regress, and I think it might be the end of his career. So I got Baltimore rebounding from last week. Then you got Chicago versus Green Bay. That's gonna be a hell of a game. It's gonna be cold. That's one of them ones right there. And you got Chicago back. This is like when football is really great. When you got Chicago and Green Bay at the top of their game. In a division game that matters. Like this is absolutely amazing. And Houston and Kansas City. That's gonna be a good game. And this game right here. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Chargers. This is going to be a game to tell us if the Philadelphia Eagles are completely falling off or they just going through some changes. So we're gonna get a lot from this weekend in football. And so yes, I just want to get on here and talk about a few things and yeah, let's see what happens over the week. All right, stay tuned.